Hey everyone, it's Dr. Lushin. This is the first of two videos I want you to watch for Safety 481 Analysis and Design. This first one, what I want to do, and the purpose of it, is to sort of fulfill the promise I made to some of you on last week's grading, and that is to give you some examples, some insight on what you can do to improve your work to get better scores. And then I'll provide some other insights as well. That's really what I wanted to do here. So I'm going to review some of the Canvas stats that I keep every week and kind of explain why I do it. We'll review some examples, and I've got a video to show you. It's meant to be funny, but it's also kind of representative of what I'm talking about. I'm going to show you what is expected this week, again, to get you thinking, and then comment on what we have coming up. So first, each week in all my classes, I've been doing this for over a decade now, I track weekly Canvas, well, it wasn't always Canvas, but weekly Canvas stats. And what it does is it gives me an indication of who may not be as engaged as others. So here for 2 weeks, you've got the average amount of time you spent over the last 2 weeks, the average amount of touches over the last 2 weeks, and then the average score. And as you can see, the average is above the median, which means what drives up the average over the median? Higher scores. Kind of have it here as well. The score is not so much. The average is lower than this, which means there must be quality issues. And that's why we're talking about it. Here's a ranking of both the 22, which is online, and 1, which is the face-to-face class. And I've got it ranked by current score. And this is after week 2. And so you can see here's the time and touches. And so I use this as sort of a red flag generator for students I need to reach out to find out what's going on, because either you're lagging in looking at the resources that are available, or you're lagging in the amount of time you appear to be spending on the class. Usually I get a correlation, a Pearson correlation positive. A significant Pearson correlation when I run this, but then we start right here at the bottom where we've got an outlier. That happens from time to time, but over the course of the semester, it tends to fall into place. As far as tips for success, what I want to do is start out with a kind of a cheeky video. I don't know if you guys like Seinfeld, but I thought of this when I was trying to think of what to talk about. So let's watch this. So I'm the head guy. Kramer is you, the student.
Kramer, I've been reviewing your work. Quite frankly, it stinks.
Well, I've been having trouble at home, and, I'll work harder, nights, weekends, whatever it takes.
No, I don't think that's going to do it. These reports you handed in, it's almost as if you have no business training at all. I don't know what this is supposed to be.
Well, I'm just trying to get ahead.
Well, I'm sorry. There's just no way that we could keep you on.
But I don't even really work here.
That's what makes this so difficult.
So that was it was a joke, of course. But what I want to do is, sometimes, I have students ask, why didn't what I turned in get 10 out of 10? And, usually in other classes, I'm sure you've seen, they lay it out really clear and clean. But what I'd want to do, what I'm trying to do in this class is I shouldn't have done that, is to kind of see what you guys can produce. So I asked some students, could I show some of your work? So Daniel allowed me, he gave me approval to show this. So he's got the week 2 assignment, and so he's got a header, and then he provides his work. And here's continued with the reflection paragraph, and then the job search with the numbers I had asked for, some of the language he found, the takeaway language, the problem solving, showed his work and explained it, and then got into his week 2 PPDP. And so he's showing examples beyond the first week. I think that's excellent. He's demonstrating to me, he's teaching me, showing me what he found, and provided reference to it. Here's another Daniel who provided it. So this is PPDP. And so what he did is he's got his week 1 stuff here, but then he put his week 2 stuff in green. And that shows me that he's thinking about it, he's adding to it, he's preparing things. Here's another thing where there's a summary here, reflective thinking, some answers, some of the items that were found, and then the problem solving with example and with a reference too. I really like that. There were some other examples as well. Here's one where he gave me a subheader of what he was reviewing and summarizing, and then made really cool tables to present the results, and then showed the work. Here's another one that kind of laid things out, and then what I'd want to see is every week. So there was initial and there's week 2 editions. I like that. You see, I can follow that. This one's cool too. They started with, the references, and then they're adding their work here in red, so I can kind of see what the improvements are. So some of you just submitted something, and I was like, well, what did I learn? So you have to show me that kind of stuff. And then, let's see, is this another one? No, this is the same one. Oh, the other one is just the agenda. Okay, so you kind of got an idea that it's about the presentation. And that's why I showed the video. That it's like, sure, I didn't tell you exactly what to submit, but what you want to do is put some thought into, what do I have to show this person to demonstrate that I reviewed the things you asked me to review. Here's what I learned, or this is what I found, and provide reference to it. That's what I want to see. It's not about just giving the answer to something. It's presenting it in a way the other person, which would be myself, can see that you've put in the work to do it. I hope that makes sense. Yeah. So let's go back into the presentation here. I don't know why I always go down to the bottom, and I don't know why that always does that. So I hope that was helpful. Now, this week we were supposed to do the first round of interviews. Unfortunately, my contacts got a little bit busy. I only got 5 to actually confirm. Maybe I'll get more on Monday, but I figure at this point, let's kick it down the road. Let's keep it simple this week. So next week, I'll be assigning mentors. And the purpose of it is to help with your goal setting, so they can share their story and give their advice. And that's what you're going to report back. So we're not doing that this week. So here's the week 4 assignments. Got 2 videos, this one and the next one. There are 2 articles, which we'll go look at in a second. 1 handbook that I want you to summarize and then do some reflection on it. There are 3 vehicle safety case studies that I want you to review, score, and provide comments on. We're going to keep building that, your experience with doing that. In the next video, I'm also going to talk about last week, the face-to-face class met me at a company, and we actually assigned initially some case study topics. And so I want to start talking about that with you too. I mean, the first one isn't due for a while, but talking about this early gets things in order, and then we can include it in our overall weekly stuff. Then, for the PPDP, what I want you to do is you have to choose one. Either plan to attend one of the UW career fairs. They're on the 13th through the 15th. I provided you information last week. Or I want you to contact a recruiter. You can either do that through Handshake or through Shirley Parsons, which I provided a link for. And we'll take a look at that on the page here in just a moment. So watch videos, read, summarize, reflect. Review, score, comment on 3 case studies. And then choose one of the 2. If you're near Whitewater and you've got the time, research 1 or 2 of the companies you'd like to talk to, and you're going to document that research you're going to do, trying to find out who they are, the questions you might ask, then experience it and write about it. If you cannot attend, you can use the Handshake for the companies that are there, and then find the contacts and plan to call them and ask them questions about the position and what it would require, things like that. Things that would benefit you from a professional and personal development. Or you can reach out to someone at Shirley Parsons, because they've got a ton of information on their website. And I'd want you to look at that too. And just ask them some questions. I'm a student, I'm moving out, this is where I want to live, or this is the industry I want to be in. Can you give me any insights? And then share what they say. Other tips for success is 3 things to think about. One is, again, the presentation. And in the next video, I'm going to talk about that a little bit. That when you get out into the real world, they don't say, oh, this, I want you to do X, Y, and Z, and this is what it looks like. They just throw you a project. Go for it. Give me the answers. And therefore, you have to be proficient in being able to explain to them, restate the problem, the approach you took, so the assumptions you have, the technique you employed, the observations and data you collected, and then based on your analysis, what you recommend. So you're working towards recommendations, solutions, not just understanding a problem. And I fear that this degree here at Whitewater has focused way too much on getting you proficient in explaining what the problem is versus coming up with practical, cost-justified recommendations. So it's not about getting the right answer. It's about demonstrating how you determine the answer. Because if you do the work and you come up and the answer isn't right or a little bit off, you want to be able to look back at how you rendered that recommended solution and what you could do to iteratively sidestep to something new. Show the steps and process, provide evidence, and cite your sources. That's for weekly assignments. That's for any work you do. Make sure you are documenting and organizing. In the next video, I'll share some of my techniques that I use. But if anybody's taken my 483 class, we talk about quality management, data-driven continuous improvement, and that's what a journal can do for you. Make sure you're properly labeling your work or store documents. I see some of you turn stuff in and it doesn't have any personal identification with it. Therefore, I question how you're storing your own work. And last, not most important, but last, is to go beyond expectations. So it appears that sometimes in classes, students just do the minimum. It's like, what's expected of me, do the minimum. And in other classes, sometimes instructors will give you full points for doing the minimum. I don't do that. My minimum is about 80%. Sometimes 85, depending if I'm feeling generous. So if that's what you want to do, if that's who you want to be, that's your choice. But if you want to excel, if you want to improve yourself, and you really want to drive for something better, do more than just the minimum. I want you to seek out opportunities. How do we do that? We grow our network. We tend to it. So we reach out to people. You ask questions versus for asking for help. Ask questions. Try to volunteer and help others. I volunteer, for a lot of things for my kids. I volunteer and teach archery. I do a lot of things, beyond what's required of me because I'm trying to give back. And I'm trying to, make things around me, things I care about, better. What things could you do? You could, with SSO and ASSP, those are things you can do. Go get additional training, and it can be virtual, and then report on it. That's it. And then the other is take on projects or responsibilities that scare you. I can't stress that enough. And here, in this moment here, I'll kind of show you. I'm going to kind of reflect on something that's kind of bothering me, but I'm trying to keep positive. Oops, what did I do? So in the next, I'm just going to keep this up because I hate switching it around. For the second video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to summarize some of the lessons I've learned, other things I've read, to really get you thinking about the future. Because, this would have been the topic of your interviews, but I'm going to provide it, so you're going to summarize it and reflect on it. So one thing that's sort of bothering me, I'm going to bring it up here. So ASSP posted their slate of candidates. And I do care about this stuff. I care who the leaders are. And Pam will be president. I think she'll do a fantastic job. She's got a very innovative approach to safety. She writes and publishes things. I like Pam. President-elect will be Linda Tapp. Now, this is just, you vote in the senior VP and then you move up through the ranks. Linda is one of my mentors. I've been talking to her for years. She's trying to advise me on how I can do better to prioritize my projects and how to get things done. She's amazing. And then we've got the senior VPs. Now you see my name is here, so I can't campaign or I'm going to say read all the things. I can't do that because there are rules in campaigning. I kind of like my platform statement. I'm not going to read it, but you can check it out. It's under member elections. But my problem is this guy has been posting things about himself and getting his friends to post things on LinkedIn every single day since they announced. And because of that, I've been submitting that as a complaint. And then on Friday, elections came out with this advisement on what you can and can't do. So SOG 610 is what I've been citing whenever he or one of his friends posts something that is campaign related. And instead of penalizing him, they decided just to inform us all. So I'm feeling a bit disillusioned right now. I would hope that an entity like ASSP would try to host fairness and then crack down on people who, are violating it. And it seems like he's in cahoots with this guy. I know who he is, but I don't like that these two have been in cahoots, and they're in cahoots with Martin, who I don't like at all. I'm not sure. I like Monique. I've talked to Monique. She's really a kind person. I think she'd be a great leader. She's quiet. That's the thing is, it's either you go with the ego loud. I shouldn't be talking about people like this. Ego loudmouth, but quiet and really smart. I like quiet and smart. Yeah, and yeah, I know him too. He's a cool guy. I'm not sure who this is. I don't know. I'll have to find out. I'll read his platform, but you should read all the platforms. So that's just something that's been bouncing around in my head. One of many things that, the things that bug me. So this is this week's Canvas page. The two videos, this one and the one I'm going to be posting. These are the readings I want you to look at. I think it's all good information. It's meant to have you think about your career, how to define it, how to help you get there. Here are the case studies, 3 vehicular or vehicle safety. This is where you upload your work, hopefully in a much better presentation that you've done in the past, based on what we covered. And then your PPT, you have 2 options. And then here's a link to Shirley Parsons. Highly recommend you check it out. They've got good stuff here. I think there are services, tips you can use whenever there's a big executive search. Excuse me, I just burped. Whenever there's an executive search in the region, they usually reach out to me and talk to me about it. So I like this group. I think they're pretty cool. So I think that's pretty much everything I want to cover in this first video. The second one is going to be me more professing about some of my experiences and things to get you in the right mindset. I'm going to refer to some of the documents I just showed you and then kind of share some of the work that I've done over the last year that has gone fantastic. And I'll give you guys some updates, and I'll talk about some of the case study stuff that my face-to-face class covered last week. So as always, please reach out to me if you have any questions. I do appreciate you taking the time to listen to this whole video. Thank you.